action.
Welcome back to episode 8 of
These Nutz podcast.
That never gets old.
I know. I can do that. We'll do that just randomly.
Bust it out at work.
I wanted to shut it down, but you talked me into keeping it, and I feel like it's cute now. I like it.
Our guest has something to say.
Yes. We are joined today by another special guest. This is Henry the Green Cheek, and you can find him on TikTok and Instagram.
He's excited to be here.
Thank you, Henry, for joining us.
Our fans love you, and they don't even know it.
He is so cute.
Okay, so no updates this week. But definitely thank you to everybody for tuning in to the Curse of the Iron Claw with our special guest, Drew Samuels. That was really fun.
I loved it.
Something different to get to do.
After he told the story and he said you can find it on Hulu. Mm-hmm. I think it's Dark Side of the Ring. I watched the whole episode. And then I watched one on The Ultimate Warrior. Because he had mentioned The Ultimate Warrior. I used to be a huge Ultimate Warrior fan because, fun fact, he's from Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I've watched.
That's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. So I watched both of those. And I could, I love documentaries, anything about true people. So if you guys are into that, but you're like, I don't really like wrestling, you'll like this. You'll like that show.
I don't really like wrestling, but I was intrigued by the Von Erich family.
It was very interesting.
I still, even like through the editing and even after, I did take a couple of times, like go back and like do more research on the family because I was that intrigued.
Drew told a couple of other stories before he told us the Von Erichsen story, and we will likely release those later on too.
Yes. Okay. So no updates. I'm going to jump right in. My week to go first.
Okay.
Henry, please pay attention to me.
Don't be rude.
Anyways,
what are you going to tell me about?
So, what was it? 2 weeks ago now, I think we did that special. Mm-hmm. So we had 2 episodes that week, and my episode was about the Murdaugh family.
It's a hot topic right now.
Hot topic.
Yeah.
So I wish I had released it a couple of episodes prior to that because he was currently on trial.
Right, like the next day, I feel like he was convicted.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I'm curious to know even more, all of your updates. And there's a few things that I caught in clips that I hope you cover today.
Yeah, okay. I have so much stuff. I'm going to try to keep it a shortened version. I've got 4 pages of notes in front of me.
I'll try not to interject.
No, it's okay. I like the banter.
Okay.
But there's so much. The trial went on for 6 weeks. But anyways, let me just get into it. And then we can, as I go, if you have questions, you tell me. I do want to start by saying some of the things that I told, some of the details, because I read so many different articles, were a little bit off one way or another versus what they presented in trial.
Okay.
So I'll try to correct those things as I go. But one thing that I did find that I would highly recommend for everybody, and I think you may have watched part of it, is the Netflix special.
Right. Okay.
This is the fall of a dynasty. It's a fall from grace.
I do believe that Alex Murdaugh would kill Paul and Maggie.
There you are, scared for your life. It's either do or die.
So
I did watch off and on. But I want to catch it all. Yeah, I got caught up in the wrestling world last week. It's not my fault.
Fair enough.
You know how I have ADD.
Fair enough. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's really all from the point of view of Paul's friends. So the friends that were on the boat when it crashed with Mallory on it. You hear from all of those people. You hear from their parents. You hear from like a writer or an editor from one of the newspapers from the town they were in. And like when I was watching it, it wasn't just me telling a story. It made it seem so much more real. And it was so sad.
Oh.
But they don't just talk about Mallory. They kind of follow the timeline after Mallory.
Mhm.
They briefly mention Steven. They briefly mention Gloria. Then they mention the murders and the suicide or the botched suicide.
Yeah.
So it just like made it seem a lot more real.
Wow.
But highly recommend. Yes. So I'm gonna kind of jump around the place because this story is not a straight line.
So many moving parts. Yeah.
But
I can follow. I can keep up.
it feels good to know that everybody kind of has the gist of the story because that will help. So Alex Murdaugh.
Right. We talked about that just ourselves last week.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, Katie, I think it's Alec. And you literally were like, A-L-E-X.
I don't think I spelled it for you.
I imagine the letters popping up. But it looks like Alex. But for whatever reason, it's Alec.
Alec Murdaugh.
Murdaugh. Okay.
I don't know why, but I'm going to keep calling him Alex Murdaugh.
I'm comfortable with that.
So
he deserves no respect on his name.
he does not. He has ruined the name.
Yeah, you call him whatever you want.
So Alex went on trial for the double homicide of his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul. This started, well, just to kind of back up a little bit, the murder happened back in June of 2021.
Okay.
And the trial started in January of 2023, so this year.
A 21 to 20, a year and a half prep
Year
time
and
for
a
this
half.
trial. Okay.
Year and a half. It ended up going for 6 weeks, but there were some crazy things that I
let's
watched
talk
and
about
read.
it.
So just kind of like a little bit of the pre-trial, like the jury, there were 900 total people called as potential jurors for the trial. They each were required to fill out a 4-page questionnaire.
I'm out right there. You know it, Katie. You know it. As soon as they handed me that.
Like, bailiff, can you read me these questions, please?
I'd be like, bailiff, you know me. Come on. You know me. Will you just do this?
Fill it out for me, Katie would.
He'd be like, ma'am, I just met you.
Yeah, so a 4-page questionnaire. Some of the questions, which I don't have all of them, it was 4 pages.
I would die.
I have 2.
Okay.
Some of the questions were things such as, where do you get your news? He's just stretching his wings.
Okay, I didn't know if this was a normal occurrence.
Yeah, she's just stretching.
Uh-oh, now he's going to side-eye me. Okay, sorry.
Anyways, where do you get your news? And do you watch true crime or police procedurals? Procedurals? I tried to say that.
Procedurals?
I don't know.
Police?
Why can I not pronounce words?
Procedurals.
Okay, that's it.
Procedurals.
I think I was.
It just sounds weird when you say it.
Such as CSI or Law and Order.
Oh, proceed. Okay.
Okay.
I would have thought videos on their policies and procedures. I wouldn't have thought Law and Order. But yes, would that have excluded me? Because
I guess
I get my news from TikTok. And I do watch CSI. I don't watch CSI, but I'm addicted to SVU.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some Mariska.
Yes. Yes.
I
thank
do.
You. The one thing, though, to note is that Murdaugh's name was not mentioned at all on the questionnaire.
Oh, gotcha.
However, when they were doing the selection process of the 900 people, so many were weeded out because they knew of the name or were in some way connected because the family was so well connected.
Yeah.
So
even if it's like my brother, yep. One of their sons, who knows?
Yeah, my nephew had him as
went
a
to baseball
or
played baseball with him.
Yeah,
anything.
So that really, really did weed quite a few people out. They did end up using, so I guess when they select a jury, they also select alternates.
Okay.
They did have to use several alternates because there were several illnesses going on at the time. A couple of people got COVID, and 1 or 2 jurors was even dismissed during the trial.
Why, do you know?
They were discussing the case with people outside of the court, outside of the jury, and they got found out. So they had asked a juror, that doesn't feel like the right word.
Why are words hard today?
I don't know.
Juror. A juror.
They asked the juror if they had been discussing the case. I did not save it in here.
Dang.
And she ended up saying yes, and she was annoyed with the judge for dismissing her. Mm-hmm. So she kind of had an attitude.
So she started talking about him behind his back too.
No. They said, "Do you have any belongings left in the court to dismiss her?" And she's like, "Yeah, a dozen eggs." And she really had to tell me why she had a dozen eggs in the court with her purse. And
I can tell you why.
Tell me.
She was doing witchcraft. Clearly. I will not be discussing that further, but that's what she was doing.
I need you to discuss that further. It doesn't have to be right now.
Okay.
But okay. So this is kind of where I tried to go in order for the trial from like the beginning to the end.
Still stuck on a dozen eggs in the courtroom.
Why? Why did she have a dozen eggs?
I don't know.
And she said it like so snotty and aggressively because she was irritated.
Like we'd be like, my cell phone's in there, or I left my purse in there. She's
dozen eggs.
I have a goat and a dozen eggs in there, and I want it. I mean, it's so random.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I read people were poking fun at her because eggs are expensive.
Poking fun at her. I love it.
I mean, online. They weren't like,
oh.
However, when she said that, because she said it in front of the rest of the jury, the whole courtroom burst into laughter. I mean, who wouldn't?
They wanted her off the jury. I can picture this
She
woman in my head.
wanted
I think
off.
we know this woman.
Probably.
Yeah.
She probably gets her.
No, don't say it.
I would never.
Okay.
Anyways, so the very first couple of days, some of the things that happened that, let's see here, I'm feeling a little bit distracted by Henry the Green Cheek.
I got it on video that time.
Anyways.
He's like, no, I'm staying with mom.
Okay. So, at the very, very beginning, there was cell phone evidence that was admitted, is the word I'm going to use, like official court lingo, into the case, talking about Alex's whereabouts during the murder. So I don't know if you remember, but he was at his mother's.
I remember. Yes, that was such a good story you told. Yeah.
At his mother's during the during the murders.
Right.
Allegedly. So they went ahead and admitted any evidence from his cell phone, from Maggie's and Paul's, or as Alex calls him, Papa.
That's terrible. Mags and Papa.
That's what I call my grandpa, Papa. Papa.
I'm surprised I can even pronounce it.
Why?
It's like that. It's the person that comes after the DAD.
Oh, before you mean?
Yeah, before.
He comes after.
Oh, that's his son. Yeah, I think there's crazy nicknames for all of them.
Yeah.
Papa. It just seems I kept hearing that, and I kept thinking to myself, if something tragic happened to one of my kids, how would I refer to them? Because I do have nicknames for all my kids.
You do. And
so I feel like I might say JoJo or Mag or Star Bear. I don't know. Gaber Baber. I know.
Is that his nickname?
When he was little, he's going to kill me. I wouldn't say that. I'd say Gabe, or I just would say their name.
You'd probably say their name.
Yeah, I'd say their name.
Especially when you're talking to police, like,
yeah,
because he was calling, like, he made the 911 phone call to find them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like you would.
And also, especially if I'm an attorney,
right,
and I'm an educated person, I'm speaking about, I'm gonna use their government name.
Government name.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe after, because had he not done this, he would have been in shock.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe after it settled in a little bit, then he might have been upset and been like, my papa. Like,
right. No, he's saying it in open court.
Yes.
I could never hurt papa.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So then they started on the timeline. Yes, Henry.
Thank you.
From like when the police arrived at the scene, several police and I'll say paramedics did take the stand and testify about his demeanor. And they said that he would go from crying hysterically to just very calm. And the defense would say he was just in shock, like that. But some of them were saying that he would like be very upset, but then they could see him watching out of the corner of his eyes, Henry, to like see like everything that they're doing, and not just like being really upset, or like he'd get really,
like he was taking it in, he was making notes, he was strategizing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they played the 911 phone call. A couple of police officers testified and just said that it was a really strange phone call. I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
And put it in.
So what's your son's name? Paul. Paul?
Ma'am, I'm going to call. I need to call some of my family.
Okay. Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you, can you put your gun in your vehicle for me?
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashers on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them, put your gun up for me, okay?
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay?
And I will let you talk.
All right.
But they said that he was very eager to have the first responders arrive to the scene, but at the same time, he also seemed very eager to get off the phone and call his family. Which
that tracks.
It does track,
yep.
Especially if you watch like the Netflix special, and I'm sure some of the others. This family, his brothers,
they like a cleaning crew. They just swoop in and clean it up.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted to get Dad out there.
Right.
Wow.
Well, Dad was on his deathbed. Remember, he died 3 days later.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But his brothers.
His brother. Okay.
His brothers.
In one weekend, he buried his dad, his wife, and his son. That's crazy. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. In his own hands.
Right. Maybe not Dad.
Maybe not Dad, but. So something else that there is a video that they played in the courtroom that after they had arrived to the scene, he was put into a vehicle. I don't know if it was a police car or what, but I guess it would have been because there was a video. But he was saying, please quiet down. I did him so bad.
Yeah, what's that mean?
I did him so bad.
It was just so bad. I did it so bad.
When you asked the defendant about the traumatic picture that he saw of Paul and Maggie, what did he say?
It's just so bad. I did him so bad.
I did him so bad.
Yes, sir.
But then the defense was arguing, saying he never said that. It was they did him so bad.
No.
They did him so bad. Like whoever killed him.
Was it on recording?
Yes.
Okay.
So they slowed it down to 1/3 of the speed.
Her eye.
Yeah, the eye.
Yeah.
I bet it was eye.
It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
Did you hear now, they or I?
I will still testify that my hearing, I hear I.
Your Honor, we'd like to play it again at 1/3 speed to slow it down. It's just the same. Thank you.
Your Honor, the judge playing it at 1/3 speed. There's no foundation laid for who's manipulating it, how it's being manipulated. I think obviously we have it in real time, but there would have to be some additional foundation.
Please play at 1/3 speed.
It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
Did you hear they then?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And played it for the jury.
Oh my.
And he was just adamant that he did not say, I did him so bad, but they did him so bad.
And then cue the video of him saying, I did him so bad.
Right. Like he was crying. So
Right.
it could have been kind of hard to understand, but I watched a couple of videos. I could see like where you could hear both.
It's like the blue and the green dress. Have you seen
Yeah.
that? Yep.
Yes. But I mean, it didn't help his case any.
Nope. Okay.
So something else that I guess I could have started with is when the police arrived at the scene, which I think I might have talked about this a couple weeks ago, he was instantly going directly into Paul's in the boating accident. Paul in the boating accident.
Right.
He was on trial. This has something to do with that. It was just like him shifting.
He was getting
blame.
threats because of
Yes,
this boating
yes.
accident.
It's bad. It's bad. Check the pulses.
Yes, sir. This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and got. This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
He's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Yeah.
So kind of keep that in the back of your mind as well.
Okay.
But something I thought was very interesting, and I'll go through and read these, but they spent a ton of time talking about how cell phones work and just how detailed you can get with a cell phone from just like turning the screen off.
Yeah.
Turning the screen on.
Yep.
Texting. So
we are monitored all the time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was good.
Right. Yeah.
So Maggie's iPhone. Let me just read some of this. So it says at 8:17 p.m. her phone was unplugged from a charger.
Whoa. That's detailed tracking. Okay.
So there's a little bit more activity, but I'm going to kind of skip through it. 8:49 and 20 seconds. Her display was on. And 6 seconds later, her phone was unlocked. A second later, she had a text read. Then her device was locked. So she was likely on her phone, just open, like that's how detailed it was.
Oh, wow.
So they are stating that she was murdered between 8:49 p.m. and 9:04 p.m. So 15-minute time frame. After 8:49 at 8:54, the orientation of her phone changed the landscape. So like somebody picked it up and was trying to hold it like this.
Oh.
Or like this.
Yes. What? They can tell when you turn your phone?
Yep. 8:54 and 54 seconds. Camera starts for 1 second. The Verizon witness that took the stand says this this indicates that somebody was trying to unlock the phone and the face was not recognized, so it didn't unlock.
Yep.
It's like if he would have picked up her phone and tried to open it, or even like if I pick up Jake's phone,
might just look at it.
yeah, and it'll try to open,
right,
but it doesn't,
and then it's like, I reject your face.
right. So that's how like detailed they were going with this. Couple of other things that they had mentioned or admitted, excuse you, was that they had found, so Maggie and Paul were each murdered with 2 different weapons.
Yeah, okay.
So they had found old shell casings on the property because the Murdaughs had a ton of guns.
Yeah.
Some that we likely didn't even know existed.
Right.
But the old shell casings on the property matched the ones that Maggie was shot with, just showing or proving the fact that it was one of their own weapons that had murdered her. Then they took some time, they argued about whether or not it was admissible of the 81 financial crimes that he was also being charged with. So the defense said those had nothing to do with the murder. This would not in any way prove or disprove the murder. But the state said that they needed to show that to show like a trail,
his character, his motive,
everything. So they spent some time going back and forth on that during the trial. It ended up that they did allow those to be admitted.
Like doing bird yoga over here.
He's just stretching.
I like it. It's cute.
So they did go through and question him about the different financial crimes.
Okay, so that was added to.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so next, Maggie, Alex's mother, I couldn't find her name. I probably could have if I digged a little bit more. Mrs. Murdaugh.
Murdaugh, sorry.
Just kidding. Caregiver. She took the stand.
Okay.
So, as you know from a couple weeks ago, he had lied about the time frame that he
I'm glad we get to hear from her.
Spent there. So, something that I did note is that at 9:08, yes, Henry, 9:08, Alex texted Maggie and said, "Going to visit M. Be right back."
Is M for mom, maybe?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So the caregiver said he got there and it was just really unusual for him to be there at 9:00 at night. So she kind of like made a mental note of that. But the defense tried to argue that given the circumstances with his dad being at his final days, he just felt it was important to spend time with his mom.
I mean, but she's an old lady with Alzheimer's at 9:00 at night. She's probably down for the night.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So kind of like last couple weeks, I said, she said that he was only there for 15 to 20 minutes. He said he was there for 30 to 40. Something else that I didn't put in here, but I do want to mention is that there was an attorney that they were going to call to testify. Mm-hmm. But before they could call the attorney, I don't know what this was set up for, but the mother's caregiver had a GoFundMe set up for some reason. And the attorney that they were getting ready to call donated $1,000 to her GoFundMe.
Was it because she was out of a job now because her client died?
I'm not. Well, I think his mom's still alive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was
this? Killing off the whole family.
What was this GoFundMe for?
I didn't even put this in here.
I want that update.
So I don't know.
Because if there's a legitimate reason, I feel like we can start and I want to know what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I got stuck.
I think that's more of like a business startup, but okay.
Whatever. She might be onto something.
I mean, she might. But So the attorney donated $1,000 just publicly with his name.
Okay, interesting.
Then went back and anonymized it, like checked whatever box so it only said anonymous. Well, the judge and everybody found out, so they were like, no, this man is not going to take the stand.
Yeah.
This is not, So I just thought that was interesting.
That is very interesting.
But also, like, was he in a way trying to influence her?
What was he doing?
Was he just being generous and donating $1,000? Nobody that's in relation to this family is being generous. Something else. So the CFO from his former law firm, the PMPED. I don't know why they had
PMPED. Thank you for calling PMPED. We are dead broke thanks to Murdaugh. Come on in.
Right.
PMPED.
That's what it was called before.
So user friendly.
So pimped.
Thank you for calling Pimped. Sorry, it made me think of pimp. Okay.
Why'd you say ew then?
I don't know. I don't want one.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
You don't have to have one.
PMPED. Secretary.
I can't wait to put our commercials up of you. Anyway, she took the stand and was just kind of talking about his character and who he was as a lawyer for the firm. And something that she said was that he was very successful because he had such a strong ability to establish relationships with his clients and manipulate people into settlements. She said, and I quote, he did it through the art of bullshit, basically.
Oh, that's going to be beautiful.
Thank you, Henry.
He literally fluttered right to it.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I feel like in all working world, there's like a psychology piece.
Yes.
Where you're managing people and you're steering them in the direction that in most places that you want them to go. And if you are a narcissist and use that power of influence and gift of gab, obviously
as a lawyer,
he's that's terrible.
Yeah. So that was kind of nice to hear that people did see that.
They saw
it,
but
they obviously saw it before he was stealing the money as a sign of strength. They're like,
he's a closer, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the blue tarp from his mother's. We'll talk about that. Some of this stuff, I don't know why it's like they jumped all over the place, but I think that just might be a trial for you.
I mean, each witness brings something different. Yeah.
I, just as I was reading through this, just kept thinking to myself, this is not at all like what you see on TV. I don't know if you've ever been in a courtroom for a trial or, I mean, even as just somebody out in the...
No, I don't think I have. Not for a trial. Maybe a speeding ticket, but that's different.
Okay. I have. It's not what you see on TV, but it wasn't also as this in depth. And they do talk, I mean, like you said, everybody brings something different. So they do kind of just talk.
The timeline might not be,
Yeah. So I do feel like this kind of goes out of order, but I'm doing my best.
Oh, Henry.
Sorry, Henry lost my place in the notes. So, okay, the blue tarp from his mother's. So he went to his mother's 1 week after the murder, and the police found his raincoat, the blue raincoat that they thought was a tarp. The caregiver did, and took it with them for processing. And on the inside of the raincoat, they found a ton of gunshot residue. Oh, and on the seatbelt in the front seat of his car, a ton of gunshot residue.
He's busted.
I mean, if he wasn't before.
Yeah, he is now. What was his defense for that? His excuse.
I don't think that he had an excuse. I think they were trying to, and I could be wrong about this, but I think they were just trying to say, well, like, how accurate was your test? Or like
Gotcha.
those types
Oh,
of
that
things.
was the argument. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, can it be proven he wasn't wearing that raincoat on another day he shot something? Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, at the lodge,
Gotcha.
which, another side note, because like I said, this is all over the place. Gloria, when she had her trip in fall, I didn't realize, but it was at the same hunting lodge.
Oh my god.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like,
oh, that is interesting.
else
I
has
just
died
assumed
out
that it was
here?
at their main home.
So did I. Yeah, so did I. So at this point in the trial, they had to pause because a bomb threat was called in.
Who did that?
So it ended up being no link to the Murdaughs.
Oh.
Allegedly. I'm still kind of suspicious about it just because of the family, but it said the threat was called in by a man named Joey Coleman. He was 32 and incarcerated in a different county. I don't know what for, but they said that he had no link to the Murdaugh family. So I don't know if it was, I mean, did somebody pay him to do that?
Right. Joey.
Was he mad about something else? But yeah, Joey.
Joey, come on. You had no business here.
Alex was probably happy.
I'm sure.
But it was not the time. Something else similar to the cell phones that they introduced during the trial was the electronic system of their car.
Ooh, okay.
So
I bet they had fancy cars with fancy.
They had to have. I don't think my car would tell you this.
My car is no narc. She ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing.
She's got that hood
ride or die, baby.
Okay, so I'm going to read you through some of these timelines.
Okay.
I'll try to skip through some of them, but remember, the time of death was between 8:49 and 9:04. So at 9:03, the car door opens, and this is Alex's car. 9:04, Alex tries to call Maggie.
Oh, jeez.
9:06, the orientation on her phone changed.
Right.
Same minute, 2 seconds later, she misses another call from him. Same minute, 30 seconds later, the SUV starts. Then you can see that it's taken out of park. Like, I didn't know you could see this in cars.
This is insane. People do not kill other people.
Dude,
you can't get away with it now.
You can't. Then a couple more missed phone calls. Then it says the SVU was put into park. This time they think he had driven to his mother's because they can't tell, like, if it's driving, but
or just sitting there.
Right.
Kind of okay.
But they could have told, like, when it was on, when it was off, when it was in park, when it was in drive.
Oh, so you're not just going to sit there with your car and drive for 5 minutes. Okay.
So, because something that I thought was kind of strange. So, 9:43, he's in drive. 9:43, he puts it into park. Then puts it out of park. Then he misses another call, or she misses another call from him, and he texts her and says, "Call me, babe," knowing she's dead. Then,
and if you're separated from your husband, call me, babe.
Right.
I'm just going to send back one emoji for that.
Exactly.
And it's not a heart.
Thank you. Wonder which emoji she's talking about. So then 10 o'clock to 10:01, all within a minute, put into park, out of park, in park, out of park, in park. What was he doing? The only thing that I could picture was, like, you know, if you're like parked in a strange place, but you have to reverse like at work.
Yes, when somebody blocks you in, like, I'm getting out of here no matter what.
In and out. But really, that's not even a park. That would be into reverse.
Right.
Drive.
Reverse drive.
Yep. But then she misses another call from him. And then at 10:04, it says SUV system powering down, so he turned the car off.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 seconds later, SUV out of park, in park. Out of park, in park. Out of park. And then he calls 911. What is that? What?
I can't make it make sense. What was he doing?
I don't know.
Unless the man just murdered, we know, he's convicted, his wife and child, and then just got in his car and went,
Like, for what?
for what?
Purpose? Because you can't drive somewhere in that 15 seconds.
I mean, we'll never figure it out. You can't figure, he's insane, or he's a
Right.
monster.
Yeah. So they talked about that quite a bit.
I bet.
I don't
They're
know.
like us. Make it make sense, Alex.
Exactly.
Damn.
The housekeeper's son, Tony, took the stand.
Oh, okay.
He talked about how Alex had stole millions of dollars from them due to the death of their mother.
Yeah.
His time on the stand was pretty brief, but they did go mostly into just that. And then they really talked a lot about how they died.
How the mom died?
How
Maggie
Maggie and Paul died.
Okay. Oh man.
So they demonstrated how both of them were shot. And I thought Paul was only shot once. He was not. I can tell you. I'll leave it off for our fans.
Okay.
They can message us if they want to know.
Yeah.
But the person who did their autopsies, I can't think of what that person is called off that their title is off the top of my head.
Is it the coroner? No.
Medical examiner?
What would Mariska Hargitay say?
I'll call the chief medical examiner.
Okay, so the medical examiner said.
Thank you. So she talked in depth about their autopsies, how they arrived at the scene, how they were murdered, and it was very graphic. It was also very, very sad. So I won't go into details, but Paul was shot more than once.
How many?
He was shot twice. But just how he was shot and what his body did after was very sad.
Oh.
And Maggie was shot several times.
What did his body do after?
We'll have to cut it out for the fans.
Okay, tell me though.
A rascal. I love it when you engage with our fans. I think the fans love it. I think it really keeps them engaged. They're like, is she going to make eye contact with me again?
Creepily.
So after they heard from the medical examiner, Maggie's sister took the stand. I don't have a lot of what they talked about.
Oh my gosh. Is she anti-Alec?
Anti-Alec.
Okay.
So I'll talk about Maggie's sister very briefly. Her name is Marianne, but also some of Maggie's friends. I watched interviews with them. They didn't take the stand, but both of them said their first thought in their head was, Alex did this.
He killed her. Yep, your friends would know.
Yeah.
Your friends would know. Yeah.
So the only thing that I noted on here was she had said on the stand that she asked Alex, who would have done this? Like, who would have killed Paul and Maggie? And he said, I don't know, but whoever did it, they thought about it for a long time.
Ew.
Ew.
To have the killer say that to you.
That's probably scarred in her mind, that conversation.
Yeah, I can
that he had with
ugh.
her.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting. Why? Why would they think about it for a long time?
He clearly
Paul's
did.
a young adult.
Yes.
What do you mean a long time? I want that jump scare to be in slow motion.
What do you mean a long time?
Henry, you got something to share
We
with
thought
the rest
it
of
would
the
be fun to have the wildlife in here with us. And Henry's just doing his own thing.
Are we proving that it was fun, or should we hold him out for the rest of the season.
Season 1.
Please
trying new stuff in season 1.
I'm gonna get you your own mini mic.
Oh, that would be cute. Pin it to his little feathers.
Okay, back to the Murdaughs. Thank you, Henry, for
that was
your
good.
interruption.
He's like, I'm back.
So the next thing was our friend Curtis. You remember Curtis, right?
Yes, Curtis the coke dealer.
Curtis the coke dealer.
I remember him.
And attempted murderer.
Yes. How could I forget that to his resume?
How could you forget? He has a long list of titles.
Yes. What did you call him? Almost murderer?
Attempted murderer.
Coke dealer. Curtis.
Curtis.
He's back. Okay.
So they went back and forth quite a bit about whether or not he would take the stand. They did have him on as a witness, but they weren't certain whether or not that they were going to call him. I don't believe they ended up calling him as a witness.
That's weird. It seems like he's playing a pretty big part. I mean, he did shoot the man.
Right.
Okay.
So something that the state, or I'm sorry, not the state, but the defense argued was that Curtis, like you said, was a coke dealer, pill dealer. I think he was arrested for meth. He's into drugs.
He's got an old trunk load of variety.
Right.
Okay.
Pharmacy. Was in debt to a drug gang known as the Cowboys.
Photoshop cowboy hats.
Yeehaw!
Y'all got any cocaine? The Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
That's in South Carolina. Is this where this is taking
Yes.
place? I guess that makes sense. The Cowboys.
When I think of South Carolina, I don't think of it as a southern state. So it really throws me off because I think of it more of like a state on the East Coast.
Do you know what the
is.
drug dealers here in Indiana are called?
The Hoosiers?
No, I don't know. I was hoping you knew.
No, I have no idea.
What their drug gang name would be. The Cornhuskers.
The Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyways, he didn't end up taking the stand, but the defense was now trying to twist it another way, that the Cowboys were responsible for their deaths because Curtis was in so much debt to them, and they knew how valuable Alex and his family
As if it's
was.
not a soap opera enough.
Thank
Now
you.
they're like, no, it's not him. It's the Cowboys.
The prosecutor for the state was so aggressive with Alex when he took the stand, which, spoiler alert, he takes the stand. And it was so frustrating, but so fun to watch because he was just like, you know how they can be aggressive. when
Yeah.
they're like,
Oh.
did you or did you not do this? Did you not say this? So
That's their job. They're trained to do that.
I know.
To get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that, but fun. That's a side note, I guess. I did have a point, but I've lost it.
Fine.
You lost me at Cornhuskers.
No, I mean, okay. I'm here for all of it.
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear about Alec. When does he get on the stand?
Right after this.
Commercial break. No, I'm just kidding.
So then Buster took the stand. I really felt like there was more.
Oh, Buster.
Okay. Murdaugh, the family dog or the son?
Right. That hair is so red.
It's really red. It's really wild.
Fun fact, let me tell a cute side story real quick. So, my little grandson Colton, I always say he has red hair. It's like a little strawberry blonde. And what were we doing? Oh, we all went to Gabe and Courtney's for Gabe's birthday party. And Colton came and sat on my lap, and all of the grandparents were at the table, stars at the table. And I said, oh, Colton, you got your hair cut. And he goes, it's not red. It's not red. For no reason. So I know his dad's been telling him, your hair's not red. And we all started laughing. And his grandpa even said, I bet you when he gets out of the bed in the morning, Gabe tells him, you look good and your hair's not red.
Does he have any family members with red hair?
I would say great grandma Mary's hair is a little strawberry blonde like that.
I don't mean to cause a fight or anything, but his hair is not red.
Well, here he is. Is his hair red? I'll try to get some good lighting.
I feel like, if I remember correctly, it's as white as can be.
He's really blonde. He's really blonde. And it's got a little tinge, but he's really
Compared
blonde.
to Buster Murdaugh?
No, yeah, blonde. Okay, but I just thought that was cute.
That is cute.
He's 2, and he's like, it's not red hair.
He's like, don't try to fool
exactly.
me,
I'm
Grandma.
not a Murdaugh. That's what he said.
That's right. Don't lump me together with them murdering Murdaughs.
Okay, I'm sorry. Buster is on the stand. Yeah, I do have some questions about him.
Okay, I would love to hear your questions because I wanted to find a lot more, and maybe I just didn't dig into Buster's part of the trial enough. But really, the most I could find was that they really just wanted to talk to him to see how he was notified, what his timeline was, which I can share, and they talked about his drive to the hunting lodge.
He went to the hunting lodge when he found out.
And how he found out. So I guess they said that his dad, Alex, called him, and he said that he sounded unusual but very upset. So him and his girlfriend were at her home, and they just immediately got into the car and drove. And then he said he got there. The first thing he did was hug his dad. And
thank you for not killing me too, Dad.
Exactly. So they really just kind of talked about how he got there. Then they talked about, like, what did the family do when they were at the hunting lodge? Like, their regular time there. And did they talk on the phone a lot at the lodge? And he's just said, yes, we talk pretty frequently. Well, it's not uncommon for us to call each other or miss a call because the hunting lodge is on 1,700 acres.
No, I don't think that's unusual. Sometimes Josiah will be in the front room and I'll text him, like, will you bring me something?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really all that he took the stand of. But I kind of wanted, something a little more juicy, I guess. But you have a question about Buster?
Yes. So it wasn't about Buster's testimony. It was about Alex. Okay. I heard them addressing a concern that Alec had touched Buster's girlfriend inappropriately.
I have never once read that or heard it.
I swear I saw that. So I'll Google it and research it. I was hoping it was in here somewhere.
I've not heard that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, no.
The man has no moral compass. Right. So yeah, I'm sure he maybe made her feel uncomfortable. I don't know, but I swear I saw a clip of
Send that to me.
Okay.
One fun fact that I just kind of put a note off to the side here is because you don't really know a lot about Buster. Mm-mm. He's kind of obviously Paul, he has a drinking problem or had a drinking problem. He was in the accident with Mallory. He was the youngest. He was the favorite. So you don't really know a lot about Buster, though.
He's kind of just on the sidelines.
Yeah. But I did read just a little bit about him. He did go to law school.
Okay.
He did work for the family law firm.
Did he take the bar and pass it? Is he a lawyer?
I don't think so.
Because the way you worded that, I'm like, he went to law school. Well, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
He left the University of South Carolina's law school or division, whatever it may have been, after a cheating scandal.
No. A scandal and the Murdaughs?
It's hard to believe, but it happened.
You've convinced me with that one sentence. I'm on board with it.
Take that for what it is, but
yeah, I would love to know more about that. This family. Trash. Sorry.
The whole family, and
throw them away.
I think I told you before, nobody deserves to die, especially these two people that were murdered so tragically, especially by their husband and father. But during their time alive, especially watch that Netflix docu-series, the limited series, whatever. but they were always cleaning up each other's messes. So
the victims are not 100% innocent in their lifetimes
yes,
either. Yeah.
They don't deserve what happened to them.
No.
But they were not.
Tragic. It's all so sad for so many other people.
So many.
Mm.
So, last but not least, Alex testifies. He takes the stand. He spends quite a bit of time up there. So, he immediately admitted to lying to the police. He said that he lied at least 3 times about when he last saw his family alive. And he was giving different versions. At one point, he said it was before, or it was at dinner. Another time, he said it was, I think when they were, like, when Maggie had first arrived. Like, he was just changing his story, which just made me circle back to when I was talking about the prosecutor that I couldn't remember where I was going.
Right.
He said to Alex a couple of different times, you keep telling different stories, but every time you're twisting it to fit this new lie or this new scenario.
Yes.
And he just didn't have a response for that, which I loved. Because
it had to
true.
be, that prosecutor had to come in hot because Alex Murdaugh is an attorney.
Yes.
He's smart. He's obviously manipulative. He's calculating. So I like this prosecutor. What's his name?
His last name was Waters, I think.
Okay. Good for him.
Good
He did
for
it.
him. They also talked about his drug addiction. They said, Alex said that he had a football injury to his knee from college. So however many years ago that
25, 30 years ago.
And he had several failed surgeries, was prescribed opioids, and just became hooked on pills.
Okay.
I also read that he said, which I might have talked about it a couple weeks ago, that he was taking 60 oxycodones a day. How can a person take that many? And
You are not going to poop for a month. Fun fact.
That's a good fun fact, I guess.
But no, opioids will hurt your stomach.
60? How can a person live and take 60?
I feel like he... I feel
low
like
dosage?
I feel like everybody around him would have known.
60? That just baffles me.
I mean, he is big and you can build a tolerance.
Yeah, that is true.
But people knew. If it's true, for some reason, I have a hard time buying the drug addiction thing from him.
Really?
I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling. I feel like it's an excuse because he's so manipulative. Okay, I got to come up with a reason. Am I an alcoholic? No, nobody ever smelled. Okay, you know what? I'm an opioid nut who hasn't pooped in 4 years. I mean, there's something just doesn't fit with me on that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
I mean, maybe it's true. I don't know them at all.
Let's see here. Okay, something else that Waters, the guy that the prosecutor you love, talked about is the night of the boat crash. So Alex had a badge that he would carry, I guess, as a lawyer, as an attorney. I don't know.
I'm gonna get an office manager badge and be like, "Oh, who you sassing?"
I'm not in.
Put some respect on this fake badge.
Exactly. So he had one of his own, and then one of his father's or grandfather's.
Maybe they do have badges.
I don't know.
What? A lawyer badge? We gotta Google this.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Do lawyers get badges?
I don't know. Do they?
I don't know. We gotta find out.
Okay.
Put it right here.
Apparently they do, because
okay.
But
either that or he just bought one. You can go on Amazon and buy a badge if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
So the night, and I kind of saw pictures or a video or something, the night of the boat crash, Alex was going from each victims, is what I'm going to call them, hospital room, to make sure everybody was on the same page about who was driving.
My panda. My panda.
The boat, and who was at fault, or did anybody know, anything like that. And he had his badge, his lawyer badge, as like a or as like a bifold wallet.
Oh my God, it's like a 1980s detective show.
And it was hanging out of his pocket.
I'm done.
And I watched a couple videos. You'll have to go back and watch them because I know you like
I can
this kind of
picture
thing.
this douchebag move in my head to a T. And it would work on kids.
Yes.
Kids. That's who's
Yes.
at the hospital.
Oh, well, that wasn't even his intention, though.
Oh, what, really? Okay.
Because the prosecutor was saying, did you or did you not intentionally have your badge out like that?
Right.
He was like, I can see in the picture it was like that, but I don't know if I don't remember that, so I don't know.
That was intentional.
And he said, well, have you ever had it out intentionally like that? Well, maybe, I guess, intentionally. Like, he said to I don't remember how he put it. Basically to, like, get things swayed his way.
To inspire respect.
Thank you. And he had said,
and I don't remember this, but I guess I would want, as I said, a badge has a warming effect with other law enforcement.
so he was doing it not to scare the children, which maybe that was a part of it, but more so to be like, look, I'm one of you. Like, don't be afraid to say things to me.
I wasn't manipulating them. I was trying to manipulate them.
Right.
I mean, what
difference does it make, really?
I think it was both. Twofold.
I'm sure. So the last piece that I saved for Alex's time on the stand, you're going to love, and maybe I think I might have heard this subconsciously and was talking about it a lot on the episode a couple weeks ago, but while he was on the stand, they asked him why he kept lying, and he said,
Did you continue lying after that night? Did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Why?
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told the lie, I told my family, I had to keep lying.
I really don't try to lie because that is what happens. I can remember being a teenager and lying to my mom, and then I got to tell another one and another
and
one.
then you
another
forget
one.
which lies you've told.
Yes, and you can always tell when somebody knows you're lying because they're like wanting more and more details, and you're like, "Damn, just leave it at this basic. I did a tree."
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Katie, is there more?
I'm just going to talk about like the jury deliberation and the verdict.
Okay.
So very quickly, the jury deliberated for 3 hours, and I'll go back.
That's not even that long.
It's really not.
No, 3 hours.
3 hours. They were in, talked about everything, and were out.
Yep.
So then they came back. He was found guilty on 4 counts. 2 of them I don't remember, but 2 were.
This is a podcast strictly based on facts and accuracy. Write that down.
I'm pretty sure one day we had like a winging it episode.
Yeah, no, this is our opinions for fun. Like, 2 counts guilty of what? Don't worry about it.
The other 2, murder.
That's what matters. That's what matters.
Yes. So he was found guilty of the double homicide. His defense attorney immediately asked for a mistrial, which the judge denied.
Good.
He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms.
Okay. And consecutive means one after another. Mm-hmm. He's never getting out.
Right. Not only that.
Bless you. Bless you.
Bless you.
That's cat.
Not only that, but I read another article that said his 81 financial crimes, if he's convicted of all of those, he could face 700 years in prison.
Wow.
So when
I don't know. He really was so caught up in his own narcissism. He thought he could get away with every bit of this.
So 2 more things. One, I want to quickly touch on why the jury convicted him as guilty, because some people from the jury have been on Good Morning America or have done interviews to talk about like what they were feeling on the stand. A couple of quotes that I read was, I don't think he was crying while he was on the stand. He was able to turn it off. Woo!
Welcome back, Henry.
Thank you for joining this episode of These Nuts Podcast.
That's right.
So she said he turned it on and he turned it off. It was not a genuine cry. Somebody else, they had asked, what do you think the motive was for him to murder his wife and son? And they said, I don't know if we'll ever know. I think it may have been a combination of things, not just financial, but just everything weighing on him so heavily. Then they talked about his lying, and somebody said he was a good liar, but not good enough.
Nope.
And then they talked again about his remorse and said he didn't show any true remorse or compassion while he was on the stand. He never cried. All he did was blow snot.
Ew.
There were no real tears.
Ew.
So
that's a weird quote.
That was a weird quote.
That's okay.
So the last thing I wanted to share with you is what the judge told him when he convicted him.
I know
or
he gave him the
sentenced
business.
So he told him a lot. They talked about a lot of things, but at the end he said,
and I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep. I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
Yeah, I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes.
God, he put a hex on
he
him.
really did. Yes.
Oh.
So there you have it. Alex Murdaugh, guilty.
Guilty as charged.
I'm sure his name will keep popping up in the news as he's convicted for more of the financial crimes, but that man,
Katie, thank you. I know that was so much research.
That was a ton of research.
So much notes, so much talking, but everybody's so interested in this story. And I am too. I think we went about an hour.
We did.
So I'm going to do mine and we'll just release it. Keep an eye out for it because I think this deserves its own time slot and its own. Let people absorb that because that was so great.
It's so much. I didn't realize what I was digging into when I first saw it. I was just like, I kind of know of this. And then I was digging into it. I was like, what? I don't like true crime, but this story had me going back again and again.
People will be talking about this for years because it's just so sad and really so unnecessary. But all right, well, if you liked this episode, go back and check out some of our others. We're working really hard to build this podcast, and thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of These Nuts Podcast.